Welcome back. Today we're talking about the serious challenges posed by internal parasites in cattle. We've learned about parasite control and the importance of treating cows. Now let's turn to the topic of resistance. Dr. Moravec, what can you tell us?
Well, regardless of the products that we use in our cattle, the opportunity for resistance is there every single time we use it. Whether it's up front, not giving an appropriate or high enough dose, that leads to head selection for resistance, or once it drops below therapeutic or killing levels, that residual leads to tail selection for resistance.
Resistance is an important topic for all of us in the cattle industry. Let's learn a little more about it in this video segment.
Because of the condition and health benefits, strategically deworming cows and calves has become a standard practice for most cattle operations. But with any deworming protocol come concerns about resistance. Resistance happens when parasites are no longer controlled by a specific deworming ingredient. But the presence of resistant parasites does not equal a resistance problem. At any time, there will be a few parasites with genes that make them resistant to a deworming product. Resistance is caused when these naturally resistant parasites increase in population and then breed with each other and shed eggs back onto the pasture. Long Range is the first extended release injection that gives you up to 150 days of parasite control in a single treatment. Its Theraphase formulation offers unique pharmacokinetics that allow Long Range to work for an extended period of time and then quickly leave the animal's system. The short amount of time at subtherapeutic concentrations helps ensure Long Range doesn't select for resistance any more than a single treatment with a conventional dewormer. Understanding the pharmacokinetics of your dewormer is important. A curve plots the presence of a deworming compound in the animal's body. Selection for resistance occurs at 2 points on the curve, at the peak or head and at the tail as the drug's concentration tapers off below therapeutic levels. Between the head and the tail is the area under the curve, or total exposure. Parasites that survive the initial peak and exposure are said to be resistant to that level of endecticide. However, having a very high initial PK peak or longer exposure may still kill them. At the tail, products kill only very susceptible nematodes. A long tail, then, may actually favor the resistant parasites in the population by decreasing the number of very susceptible parasites, leaving a greater proportion of resistant parasites to meet and breed. In a study, long-acting products were shown to be effective against tough-to-kill parasites either by having a large area under the curve or having a very high initial peak. Long Range has both a high initial peak and a large area under the curve. How high? Let's compare it to Eprenex. Considered to be one of the best anthelmintics in the macrocyclic lactone class, very few parasites survive its peak. The PK peak of Long Range is 2.5 times higher than Eprenex. Long Range has another unique feature. In addition to a high initial peak and an extended duration to about 70 days, the Theraphase formulation delivers a second peak between 90 to 100 days. As it tapers off, it continues to stay above effective concentrations for up to 150 days, depending on parasite species. Conventional dewormers have persistency of 14 to 42 days. That's not long enough for season-long control. For longer periods, conventional dewormers can be used 3 times over the course of the season. Depending on the timing of application, this could equal 3 tails, while Long Range delivers 2 peaks with a single tail. Of all the animal health practices used to increase production, treating beef cattle for parasites gives producers the greatest economic return. With its high initial peak, long exposure, and fast withdrawal from the animal's system, Long Range helps you balance concerns about resistance with best management practices, which should include continuing to monitor resistance through a fecal egg count reduction program. And because Long Range controls parasites on the pasture, it also works as part of a refugia program where some cattle are left untreated. And only Long Range gives you up to 150 days of parasite protection with one easy-to-administer injection of 1 milliliter per 110 pounds of body weight. Talk to your Marial sales representative or veterinarian. Visit thelongrangelook.com for prescribing information or call 1-888-637-4251 to learn more. Do not treat within 48 days of slaughter. Not for use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, including dry dairy cows or in veal calves. Post-injection site damage, such as granulomas or necrosis, can occur. These reactions have disappeared without treatment.